My colleague from the NFL Media Group, Ian Rapoport, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm looking at the calendar. I see June 1st, which means, just help me with this. This is your, part of your news and information. That means tomorrow's the first post-June 1st day, correct? Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. Not saying you're wrong, but today is actually the first post-June 1 day, but after 4 o'clock.
After 4 o'clock. So
yes.
4 o'clock today is when the clock starts officially on June 2nd on the NFL calendar. Yeah, correct?
Right, which is basically like wishing someone happy birthday at like 12:01 a.m. I get it, but like also don't call and wake me up. I'm sleeping.
Understood. I get it. So
not saying that my parents did that for years before I said anything, but I'm just saying for other people's parents.
Well, those crazy Rapoports. Something could obviously be done and then say we'll announce it at a certain time right now. So I guess it's not like we're waiting, staring at the clock for the pot to boil over. What's happening with Julio Jones as you and I are talking right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is always kind of the weird thing because, like, it is a deadline, and because there's nothing else going on besides my terrible golf game, it is what everyone is talking about, but it's not actually a deadline. It's more of like it's more of a deadline like when the franchise tag window opens up like in February.
Right.
Like we all talk about it, but you don't get to find out who actually gets tagged till like March 14th or whatever it was this year.
Right.
It's more like that. Like it opens up the door. Now, the Falcons could have traded him before the draft and just say we'll process it, June 2nd, much like the Rams and Lions did their quarterback trade on a Saturday night at 10:30 in
February.
When was that? February?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In February. And then we're like, oh, cool, it'll be official in 3 weeks. Everyone get ready for that. So they could do that. The weird thing about Julio is, and, it's possible it gets done this week, but there's no actual deadline until training camp, right? So if the Falcons are like, we have to get a first-round pick, we are not trading him unless we get that, they may not trade him until, July 27th or something like that.
Right.
I would be a little surprised if something is not done before training camp, but other than that, it's really just whatever deadline they decide to create. Like, they could tell teams, like, we have to get it done this week, so put your best offer in, and then we are trading him. I haven't heard that's happened. Otherwise, like, it's all kind of waiting around to see if something spurs movement in a trade market that seems pretty fleshed out, and I don't get the sense it's really accelerated anywhere.
Well, then let's go in search of an earlier deadline. The concept that they need to create the cap space to, in fact, pay their rookies. Do they need to actually get these guys under contract before a mandatory minicamp this month, or the fact that they've already been on the field because they were at a rookie camp? I mean, is there a time by which they have to get these rookies signed and under contract? Ian?
It's really by training camp. And that's a good question because,
thank you, sir.
Every year, rookies sort of sign at different times, right? Like the Rams do a thing where they have everyone go through, OTAs and rookie camp and mini camp, and then they all sign at once after some financial education. But that's a lot of times like in June, but sometimes we see draft picks don't sign until right before training camp, and that happens every year too. So the Falcons do need the room. I think they would like to get something done for business purposes, but they actually don't have to. So they could have everything fine in their offseason, have all the rookies show up, everything be good. Rookies will sign waivers as they do, and then sign everyone right before training camp and just say, we'll be against the clock, but we'll have to hustle to get it done. But because rookie deals are generally so easy, like they probably will be able to get it done, even if it's a mad scramble like a day before training camp.
Huh. So, Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show, my colleague from the NFL Media Group. Who's in on Julio? Who's in on Julio, and who do you think's already put that one on the table? If you believe that is in fact the case, do you think so? What do you got for me on that?
Well, to me, if there was a clean one on the table for next year, it probably would have already taken it. Would be my guess.
Okay.
Because that's what they've told teams they've wanted. They want a one. If they get a one, I think they would have taken it. So to me, if there is a one on the table, it's probably not a one for this year. And, like sort of the way teams think about it, like let's say, I want a one for this year, and you want to give me a 1 from 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that basically value-wise is considered a 2. If you want to give me a first-round pick for 3 years out, that's considered a 3. So they may have a 1 on the table, but I just don't know that it's this year. But, there was some discussion, I think, from colleague Mike Garafolo that the Rams were involved. The Rams could give a first-round pick, but it's not going to be for, I think, 2035 is their next one. I could be incorrect on that.
Yes, my son who's about to be bar mitzvahed is going to get go through graduate school when the next time they actually
exactly.
And
that's what they could give that, but that's valuable, but it's not a 1 like we talk about a 1.
I love the Rams being involved. God, they're so aggressive. They really just screw it. Let's go. We got a window. Let's roll. That would be amazing if that actually happens because, my gosh, what a game changer that would be for Stafford to get who. I mean, I can't even go down that road. So interesting.
And everybody would lose their minds because it's like, oh, there go the Rams again going all in. But, theoretically, they could go all in every year and then just trade the draft picks for the next year because every year you get new draft picks.
That's true.
It's a very interesting strategy.
So who else is in? Who are you hearing is in? Patriots one, right? Or is one of them? Who else would actually be in? And you saying the Rams being involved doesn't mean you only look for people who have the cap room that could absorb that $15 million and change on the spot, right? So who's in?
Well, you can always sort of create space. But,
right.
I would say, the Titans are a team that's been discussed. 49ers, I know Garafolo mentioned. Rams, we talked about. Patriots, I'm sure that they are going to look into it. Not sure it would totally make sense for me, just because, the value wouldn't be great, and Bill still very much cares about value. To me, they spent a lot in free agency, and everybody went crazy. How is that possible? They probably ended up getting some good deals on some free agents, $12 million for the top free agent tight end when it probably should be 14. That's actually a good deal value-wise. The Patriots care about value. Them being involved in Julio makes sense that they would call, but I'm not sure they're going to get him. The Ravens have had some interest, but I don't think it's going to be a 1 there, and that salary gives them some problems. So, those are sort of the teams that have been potentially in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans do seem to make the most sense. I just don't know that has moved. I don't know that it doesn't sound like their conversations have been overly recent, the Titans and the Falcons.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. And what's the current status of Aaron Rodgers in the Packers now that we're post June 1 later on today, and something is potentially more likely than it would have been just yesterday, even though it seems like the Packers have no intention of moving this guy. So what do you got for me on that?
I would agree. No intention of moving him. I haven't checked the Instagram account of the actress whose name I forget that he's vacationing with.
Yes, it's Miles Teller's wife is what you're referring to right there. Okay.
So I don't know what, I'm sure she's very good. I just don't know what show she's in. I had not heard of her before she started posting about Aaron Rodgers. But I haven't checked her Instagram account recently to know if he's still in Hawaii. I don't get the sense that much has changed at all. And that's another one where, there's not much incentive to do anything right now. Yes, the Packers, and they've been trying to get a deal done. I know they would really, really, really like to get an extension done that makes him happy to kind of end this issue. I just don't know that anything happens soon. Is the deadline for mandatory minicamp, is that a real deadline? I don't know.
So let me pause you right there then, Ian. Okay, let's stop right there. So the Packers want him to sign a contract that will make him happy, correct? That's what you're saying. So then why wouldn't Aaron Rodgers want to sign a contract that would make him happy? Is it simply because that contract should have been offered to him the minute they lost the NFC Championship game and he was wondering about his future, and it did not come because of whatever reasoning that caused him to feel the way that has been reported for him to feel, and that he confirmed with Kenny Mayne 1 week ago last night? I mean, is that what it is? That he wanted it when he wanted it and it didn't come, and he's pissed and he's now going to make him wait? Is that basically a way to look at this right now?
Well, I sort of think about it like I do with a lot of contract negotiations. And this is not the first negotiation to get personal and heated, I would say.
Sideways. Yeah.
I don't know that he hasn't. I don't know that he's not signing it. I just know that he hasn't agreed to it yet. Like maybe they haven't done a deal that's good enough. I see this all as a. There's plenty of other parts of it, but I see it in part as a negotiation. So the fact that he hasn't accepted a deal just means their offer isn't good enough yet, or he's not ready to accept what is their current offer. So they can make this work financially. They can make this work contractually. They can make it so he has enough guaranteed money, so he's not worried about Jordan Love supplanting him ever, so he can retire on his own terms. I mean, these are the sorts of things he wants.
Right.
I just don't know that they're there yet. And that was interesting to me in the Kenny Mayne interview. Was he didn't close the door on anything.
No, I mean, he kicked the can down the road. The way that I termed it is he turned up the heat on Gutekunst. Like he is, I don't think that this goose, if you will, of being Gutekunst, is remotely cooked enough for Rodgers. I mean, we're gonna get that goose cooked even more when he's out there golfing with the scientist, as Tom Brady's Instagram account referred to, Bryson DeChambeau.
That's gonna be great.
I mean, July 6th is going to be a date where Brady and Phil will get in Aaron's face and have fun and with his situation, and he'll make a couple comments that'll be caught on a hot mic that works. Because I mean, that's just going to turn that thing up to Spinal Tap 11, as far as I'm concerned, because that's going to be right a couple weeks before training camp hits, and we're going to be wondering if he's going to show up. So that's my question for you: is if you're wondering if the terms are not to Rodgers' satisfaction, then Green Bay's desire to get him signed long term or to a contract that it makes him satisfied, the only way that does that is to make Jordan Love inoperable as his successor in the first iteration of his professional contract, basically blowing up the clock in the manner that he said he threw a wrench into it with an MVP season.
Yeah.
I think that this is the rational conversation to be had right now, is to try and read some tea leaves here, Ian.
I mean, I don't think any of that is wrong, because that's sort of, I think, what he wants. And look, Rodgers blew up the sort of time situation anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of like Tom Brady did. Like, I'm sure the Patriots would have loved to have a succession plan of Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
Sorry, Brady screwed all that up. And Rodgers screwed it up too, because he probably had his best season, maybe except for the Super Bowl year. Like, he was awesome last year. And the previous year he had not been as good. And he was like, yeah, maybe you don't. And now they have to recalibrate, which to me is all okay. But again, like, you got to, if you're the Packers and you want this thing done, like, you got to prove it contractually. Probably, like you said, making sure that Jordan Love is not an issue for Rodgers moving forward through his current contract or something like that.
So, okay. So we're basically playing a waiting game right here to see how that all plays out. And training camp would be one flashpoint. The next one would be the mandatory minicamp in a couple weeks to see if he shows up, right? And at some point, Jordan Love is going to have to talk. I imagine the Packers went through their minicamp last week without putting him out there. At some point, he is going to, put in his 2 cents, and he's the future. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing for the Packers is Jordan Love is, by all accounts, a great guy.
Right.
Like, I hear him and Rodgers have a really good relationship, and everybody likes him. I have no idea what he can do on the football field, but seems to be a really good person, upstanding human, who probably is going to handle this extremely well. Just we haven't heard from him yet. We heard from Rodgers a couple of times, plus singing. We don't even know. I don't even know if Jordan Love, what lyrics to Taylor Swift songs does Jordan Love
Dude,
know?
it's the second reference you've made to that now. I mean,
I'm just saying, look, we get our information where we get our information, okay?
What information are you gleaning from that? So
what
are you gleaning? What information are you gleaning from that? He's just living his best life, and he's making it like, and
he knows how to play the guitar. Did you know that Aaron Rodgers knew how to play the guitar?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I did not, and that was pre-June 1st, so, it'll be more costly. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Ian. I greatly appreciate it.
I always enjoy Rich.
All right, right back at you. There's Ian Rapoport. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.